Streaming December 12th on Peacock. Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie are back.
That's hot. Loves it.
For a show-stopping reunion that will prove putting on an opera is anything but simple.
We're really good at this.
One thing's for sure, they won't be upstaged.
Good to have you back. Come on, we've got a show to do.
Paris and Nicole, The Encore, a 3-part reunion special, streaming December 12th, only on Peacock.
And welcome to a new episode of The Simpsons Did It. I'm your host, Steven Skolansky.
And I'm your co-host, Robert Skolansky.
And this week, it's summertime. I think we're going to go swimming.
Oh, yeah. You know, this is the perfect episode because lately the weather hasn't been great here in the Midwest.
No, it's finally starting to turn. Just watching this episode made me think, oh my God, it could get hotter.
Yeah. Well, and what hotter way for this episode than to bring a guest back?
Yeah, I know. It's gonna be smoking hot because the episode that we're gonna be doing is season 6, episode 1. Because congratulations to us for starting season 6, and it just so happens that the name of this episode, Bart of Darkness, coincides with a guest we've had on earlier who has the screen name on Instagram as Bart of Darkness. So let's bring onto the show again, Warren, or as everyone likes to call him, Bart of Darkness.
What's up, you guys? That was a hell of a segue. I mean, I am feeling hot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you are down in Florida. I mean, I feel like it's always hot down there.
I have never related more to anything on earth than when Homer is, setting up the fridge and wanting to live inside the fridge. That is, in fact, I've posted that before and been like, this is the most Florida shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's going to be 93 degrees today. So
That's
there
crazy.
you go.
Well, see, I was just out in California and we had a 91-degree day out on the beach. So, yeah, it was definitely sad to come back to Minnesota to 32-degree weather.
I just can't. I can't imagine that. Like, people here, when it gets, when it hits like 65, people are busting out the jackets. I mean, it's just, we're not used to that cold weather here at all.
Cold. I do like when I was roaming around like not on the ocean, but kind of inland when it got kind of, night, sun goes down and it's about, 65 degrees out. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt and people up are wearing beanies. I'm like, dude, you're absolutely nuts. 65 is not cold. I don't know what you're talking about. I wish I could be in 65.
I remember on a vacation one year, this is almost 10 years ago, where my buddies and I were in Florida, and it was like 60 degree and raining, and people were just freaking out.
Oh yeah, I mean
like,
that's
guys,
winter here.
This is nothing. Well, it was funny because we were watching the news, and the reporter was like, "It's like winter in Alaska," and you have 4 guys who live in Wisconsin, like, this is summer in Wisconsin.
Well, I'll tell you, I have a buddy who lives in Michigan. Shout out to my friend Jason, and he'll be like, well, it's going to snow today, and I'll send him a screenshot of the weather, and I'll be like, well, it's 78 degrees here right now. So, that's definitely, it's one of those things. Florida, for a magnitude of reasons, is not like anywhere else. So there you go.
No. Yeah. So, like I mentioned, we're going to be doing season 6, episode 1, Bart of Darkness, and Mr. Bart of Darkness himself. Now, I think we talked about this last time you were on. Did you actually get your name from this episode?
I did.
Okay.
I did. So, but I also, people ask me that a lot, and it actually means nothing. When I first started the Instagram, I just wanted something that looked nice. Like, I'm very particular about screen names. And, I tried a couple different episode names and nothing really worked. I didn't want to call it like, Warren's Simpsons collection or what. I just didn't know what to call it. So Bart of Darkness had a nice, it's like when you pick a screen name for AIM back in the day.
Yep.
I just thought it looked cool. And, here I am 8 years later, 74,000 followers later. And I guess people have just forgotten that the name means nothing.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny to think. It's kind of funny to think about. I was thinking, okay, so, we use the Simpsons guidebook to help us with quotes and stuff. I thought maybe you just grabbed your copy of the Simpsons guidebook, opened to a random page, pointed, it landed on Bart of Darkness, where you could have landed on Lisa on Ice or something, and that could have ended up being your screen name.
That's a way cooler version of the story. I'm going to steal that and start using it.
Perfect. So this episode aired September 4th, 1994.
Yep.
By
the way, this is the first episode back on Sunday nights.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, obviously Thursday's a weird night. Sundays I think are definitely a lot better, and kind of opens up your whole week. You could start your whole week with The Simpsons.
I definitely prefer the Sundays. I remember as a kid when it switched back to Sundays, and Sunday night was like, your last morsel of freedom before, Monday morning. And so Sunday nights, while as an adult, I sort of hate. As a kid, I actually really liked them because I was like, The Simpsons is coming on, King of the Hill's coming on, I'm going to make a Tombstone pizza. So I have very fond memories of this era when it switched back to Sundays, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely made the weekends a lot better because Saturday night you had Snick, and then Sunday night you had the animation lineup. So
really solid.
Oh, yeah. So the recap. Homer installs a pool in the Simpsons' backyard, and Bart breaks his leg attempting to dive into it. But I'd say he was attempting to dive, but obviously we'll get into it. That's not really what happened. It started as a dive, and then
it didn't even start as a dive.
Yeah.
But we'll get there.
Yep. All right. Chalkboard. Beans are neither a fruit nor musical.
Yeah, I think aren't beans legumes?
Yeah.
They are.
Yep. And obviously, Bart was trying to make a little stink in class about being musical. So, yeah, and I'm guessing, Warren, you watched this most recent episode of The Simpsons, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
I
have not.
Yep. And so I love that episode because we finally closed the gap on Bart writing on the chalkboard. This whole time doing this podcast, we're like, oh, Bart goes to the chalkboard, write something on it. It's funny.
I'm just going to say, as part of, this is on brand for me, so I have to say it. People know I stand up for current seasons or the current season and modern seasons in general.
Yep.
And I got to say, this most recent episode, giving Kerry Washington a permanent role as Bart's new teacher, a really good move, and I'm actually excited to see that dynamic and see what else they do. So I loved that little callback to why Bart writes on the chalkboard in the first place. I thought it was all really great.
Yep. And I mean, obviously we're going to get to this, next, the later seasons in about 20 years when we get there. But that being said, I mean, this season really, I think that Marge and Homer going out into the woods, I think turned season 33 around. Everything after that episode really was like, holy crap. I don't know if someone kicked the writers in the ass and said, all right, let's get going. But I feel that was like the turn of season 33.
That is a truly perfect episode. I mean, I would assume some of the early ones are probably holdovers from last season. That tends to be the way it goes,
Yeah.
But I think, even if that's not the case, I think that episode is just so strong and so different. And we're talking about Pixelated and Afraid for anyone listening.
Yep.
My favorite of the season. One of my favorite episodes of the show, period. I'm just going to say it.
Wow.
I really think it might move into top 25 territory. It's so good.
Yeah, that was
I will not accept any hate mail for that. But I think that episode is so good that I think it just brings up everything around it. And I think it might even change some people's perspective on the season because, when something's that good, it kind of brings everything else up a notch. So I think that also helps. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was my take. After that, every episode after that episode, I'm like, oh, the writing has gotten better somehow just by watching that one episode. So the couch gag this week, the Simpsons are sitting midair as part of their couch assembles on top of them, and the weight of the couch causes them to crash and burn.
I'm so glad we're getting new couch gags.
I know. It's been a while.
Yeah, the end of season 5 was with couch gags was not great with all the repeats.
Yeah, it just kept going. All those clapboard couch gags from the earlier in season 5 they just kept coming back.
Let's start this episode off right with the one and only Hans Mole Man. And he's getting ready for his day. He walks out of his house and he looks up at the sun because it's summertime and he's feeling the heat, and he starts himself on fire by the sun's ray. Now I don't know if you guys have ever tried to burn like ants or whatever with a magnifying glass, but his glasses are so thick they acted as a magnifying glass for the sun's rays to start Hans Moleman on fire.
Yep.
I don't think I've never tried the magnifying trick with sun's rays. I don't know if it really heats up enough to
it definitely does. I'm a big softie. I could never do it, even to ants.
I did. What I did in my science class in school is when the suns would come through our classroom, I'd have a magnifying glass and try to burn holes in my jeans.
Oh, jeez.
Just to see if it worked.
Did it work?
It did work, yeah.
Wow. There you go.
I'm glad I didn't set myself on fire like Hans Moleman, but yeah, it's a hot day in Springfield. And one thing that I like, and I don't know if this is really the start of it, but prior to season 5, it seemed like every episode was purely random. There was no concept of time. But I feel like as season 6 goes on and all the rest of season 6, they actually timestamp it. Like, this is summer. This is before school starts. And, it works its way into Halloween, works its way into Christmas, into Valentine's Day. Like, I think season 6 really kind of kicked off the one season is going to be kind of a full year. We're not going to make things last more than, a day or a week. So,
yeah, I think it really stands out too, because most, like you're saying, most of the time you're sort of in this, ambiguous time frame. You don't really understand what, they're in school, but you don't really get a lot of clues as to what time of year it is unless it's like a Christmas episode. So I think this episode lands in a good place for people because they're like, oh, this is what it's like to, have a hot summer. It feels different. It stands out amongst a lot of episodes.
Yep.
Yeah. With them not being in school, clearly they're not in school because it's summer vacation. So I like the fact that it differentiates from like the first 5 seasons.
Yep.
A little bit. So now we're going to head over to the Springfield Wax Museum, which, sure. And we see the squeaky voice teen is a tour guide there, showing some people around, which also includes Principal Skinner. And he shows them the Beatles wax figures they have, as they appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show. I didn't realize they appeared all melted in puddles of goo.
Yeah, that's exactly how they appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Now the weird thing is for this is that I went to the Hollywood Wax Museum when I was in California, and they definitely, controlled the temperature within that building. So is the AC not working at the Springfield Wax Museum, or are they just terrible at running?
You got to think that they, they would cancel the tour. If everyone's melted, you got to think that they're not actually going to show everyone like, let's do the tour anyway. I mean, no one will notice, I've always thought that's such a funny joke because it just makes no sense.
Yeah. And so Skinner's like, as I said before, Skinner was part of the tour. And he's like, well, I don't want to be charged full price for this. He's like, my knees, I'm up to my knees in the original cast of MASH, which is a great line. I didn't watch the original MASH. I watched like the stuff with Alan Alda and all them. And I don't think Alan Alda was a part of the original cast. But yeah, if I'm going to a wax museum and all the wax figures are melted, which A, not a great wax museum, but B, I want my money back.
Yeah.
Well, it also, this is a classic, Skinner moment to me, if you think about it, because he's not refusing to pay. He just doesn't want to pay full price. He's like, well, I mean, I'll still pay, but I just don't want to pay full price.
I'm paying for the wax, not the people.
So then we go outside and we get some hippie character singing about the sunshine and how he likes having the sun on him. And it makes him happy. And another Springfielder walks by and punches him in the face.
Yeah,
it's too hot for this crap. And he's a hippie.
Well, that's the Springfield character. He's appeared in a couple episodes. He never has dialogue.
Just stamp the ticket guy.
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, he doesn't ever have really dialogue. He just randomly shows up in episodes and gets angry.
Love it.
Interesting. So
just stamp the ticket.
Yeah.
So now we go to the Simpsons house, and to keep cool, we have seen Homer has set up a tent in front of the open refrigerator door, and he has pulled out a box of frozen peas, I believe it was, to rub himself down to keep him cool. And Bart is in there with them, and he's got a box of frozen corn.
All right. What's the most outrageous thing you guys have done to cool down on a hot summer day?
Oh man. You know, I don't know if I've done anything outrageous. I used to work in a warehouse, and I would commonly take like a wad of paper towels or a small hand towel and run it under cold water and just wrap the neck of my shirt in it. But I don't know how outrageous that is. That would really help.
It's not really that outrageous.
I guess for me, whenever I went down to like the Bahamas, Florida area, I don't know if this is just a hotel thing or a resort thing down there, but all the floors in the hotels are like linoleum. They're not actually carpeted or anything.
Yeah.
And so what I would do, like I'd be out on the beach or just be a really hot day, I would just take off like my shirt, pants, and just lay down on the linoleum because it was always freezing cold. And that would help so much.
I mean, I can't really think of anything crazy. I mean, I know when I used to work at Target, if I got too hot, I'd either go to the freezer in the back and walk in there for a few minutes to cool down.
Put a jug of milk under your shirt.
No, if I'm walking into a freezer, I don't need to do that. But I mean, by myself, we had next door neighbors who had a pool. So if they were around, go use the pool. I mean,
we'll get to that. Outrageous. We'll get to that. That's another question, Robert, down the line.
Well, I will tell you this, we're talking about it being hot and doing something outrageous to stay cool. Yeah. In Florida, you're sort of prepared for war. So like, I think you're just, you sort of bathe in the pain of the heat to where it doesn't really affect you anymore. So I've pretty much given up on staying cool. You got to invest in a really good air conditioner when you live here.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've used like a refrigerator before, not like what Homer did in setting up a tent, but I've definitely like opened up the refrigerator and stuck my head in just to get a little cool. Yeah. So Homer suggests that they can live in the tent in the fridge for the rest of the summer, which, would be a good idea if you didn't want to burn your electricity. And Marge, goes into the tent and tells Homer that the refrigerator was not meant to be used in this manner, which is correct. The refrigerator is used to keep, your food cold. But she's like, oh, man. This is so refreshing because it's cold. Now, I don't know how well you would have to tape a tent to the refrigerator so that the air, comes, like the coldness comes at you and not just kind of like spreads out. And we see Lisa join as well as Maggie. And Maggie comes in and apparently they have some Jell-O in the fridge that Homer took out, and Maggie uses it as a bed. Kind of like what you did with the linoleum, Steve. She uses it to lay on to stay cool.
Obviously, the company picnic was coming up at Mr. Burns' Manor. That's why they had some Jell-O.
I was just about to say that. I was like, man, I got a zinger right here. No, that's good.
That is really good.
You get a bunch of Simpsons fans in the same room. You guys all have the same thing going through your head.
And so Homer tells Marge that he got the idea when he noticed that the refrigerator was cold. I mean, wouldn't you just know that there were? I guess it's. Your brain. I feel like when it's like either extremely cold or extremely warm, your brain might not work to a certain degree. You just, you're not thinking straight. So
it's just classic Homer being a dumbass.
That is also true. Yeah.
I think I also don't want to gloss over that Homer, one of my favorite reads that I think of every summer is when he says, "It's cool in here, boy." I just think that's such a great way to deliver that line. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. And so Marge is like, asks, well, what are we going to do if the motor overloads? And sure enough, the fridge goes out because they overload. Now, I don't know. I feel like this would be an older type model refrigerator, I guess. But I don't know if you can actually overload the motor just by having the refrigerator open.
Well, you
I think
can't.
it would just stop working. I think it would just stop. I don't think it would overload. I think it would just eventually the temperature would drop. I don't know. I've never tried this experiment. Maybe that's an excuse for us to all do it.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm no mechanical engineer, so if anybody out there knows anything about refrigerators, and probably this episode has tons of great lines, but I really love this line. Homer asks Marge to set the oven to cold.
So good.
I love that line. So good.
Yeah, so now we cut to the living room where Marge decides to cool herself off with a couple fans. Obviously, the first one blows her hair one way, second fan blows her hair the other way, and then just falls over her face. On hot days, I'll definitely sit in front of a fan for, a few hours. And then obviously on a fan like that, you have to talk into the fan to pretend to be Darth Vader.
Of course.
Marge missed that opportunity, but...
By the way, just to go back a little bit to the whole, with them using the refrigerator, my sophomore year of college, the college did not turn on the heat for the winter time because it was like October, but it was super cold. We actually used the oven to heat up our apartment, which you're not supposed to do.
No, there's kind of gas in that.
Yeah.
No, it was an electrical.
Okay.
It was an electrical, but you're still not supposed to use an oven, regardless of if it's electrical or gas, to heat up an area.
Yeah, probably not good. So now we hear the ice cream truck going by because who doesn't want ice cream on a hot summer day? And, Bart, who's stuck to the chair because obviously heat on furniture is never good.
So that must be a leather chair because I don't think you're going to stick to a cloth chair.
No, probably not. But then again, the Simpsons, I don't know how they could afford a leather chair.
That is the strongest argument. I'm not a fan of leather furniture anyway. I'm not a fan of leather really. But the thing is why I don't understand why anyone would prefer leather because if you live in a state that even gets, remotely hot, you're done for.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Yep. And so Bart and Lisa run after the ice cream guy who announces that he's all out of ice cream.
That's kind of why? Well, I guess, usually, when an ice cream truck is rolling through the neighborhood, they only play the music when they have ice cream.
Yep.
And the dude was playing the music. So maybe screw you, ice cream man.
Maybe it was broken. He couldn't turn it off. So he had to announce that he was all out of ice cream.
Yeah, but he seemed too jovial when he announced it.
He just wanted to be an asshole.
He's just a sociopath. They're out there, guys.
Yeah. But see, then Bart and Lisa hear another truck that comes by, and it's for Texas-style chili.
What? That's so random.
Yeah, is that a real style of chili? Does anyone know? Is there a particular Texas style? Yeah.
I'm sure there is. A lot of states have their own, because there's Texas barbecue and Kansas barbecue.
That's true.
Southern bar. So, yeah, I bet you there's a Texas style chili.
Yeah.
Got to be at least 5 alarm.
Yes.
I'm just
saying. Yeah. That's right. So Lisa tells Bart to forget about it. Their salvation isn't just going to roll up on the back of some stupid truck. And Otto pulls up right on cue with the Springfield pool mobile.
So this is the second instance in 2 minutes where a character on The Simpsons says one thing and it happens.
Yep. So is that okay? Does the pool mobile even exist? Do those exist anywhere?
I have no clue. This has to be based on some idea, but I gotta think there's no way that that's real.
I've seen
crazier things have probably happened.
Well, I've seen pickup trucks where you can get a liner for the truck and fill it with water.
Yeah,
I've seen those. So maybe I don't know if that happened, in the mid '90s. So maybe that's where they got their idea from.
But obviously,
but the thing is, you could never drive with it full of water, or it's just going to go everywhere.
as we're about to see with Otto.
Otto stops and some of the water just splashes on him. But his thought was he needed to get the window fixed, not that it was a bad thing. It was just the window needs to be fixed. Now, you could cover it. I guess I don't know if you did a pool cover around it. You have to get out of the truck obviously and remove it, but. I feel like the pool mobile is a great idea. It just didn't last that long.
Well, I know, like, I don't think this really happens anymore, and I don't know how real this is, but like, kids using fire hydrants to spray water.
Yeah.
Is that a thing in the like 60s and 70s?
It definitely was, or seemingly was. I mean, it's at the very least something they did in movies.
Yeah. Yep. So a bunch of the kids on the block show up at the pool mobile because apparently the Simpsons house is where it needs to park. That was like Otto's like spot. He knew Simpsons house is where we got to park. All the kids will come over. We find out that there's 19 kids in the pool mobile. So there's
such a random fact and number.
Yes. So, Lisa's splashing some water when Bart surfaces. He's like, look, Lisa, I snatched 5 bathing suits, all Martins. And then Martin stands nearby with his arms folded, wearing layers upon layers of bathing suits. And Martin's like, take your best shot. I'm wearing 17 layers. And all the kids rush Martin and grabbing his various swimsuit trunks within moments. And he's out. And he's like, I brought this on myself.
Now it says kids, but I think it was just the bullies.
Really? I guess that happened so fast.
Yeah.
I guess
I feel like watching that scene, I feel like it was just Nelson, Jimbo, Kearney, and Dolph who did it, but I could be wrong.
I just don't know how you would have to buy various sizes of bathing suits to get that many on. What a weird thing.
It's like watching people wear 18 sweatshirts or t-shirts. Like,
so weird.
Apparently Martin gets pantsed a lot in pools.
Yeah. I mean, he's looking out for himself, which I got to respect. But I think at that point, I'm just staying home.
Yeah.
That sounds so uncomfortable. You can't even walk.
No.
It looked pretty bad in the pool. It was just standing there. It's like he wasn't even playing or slipping. He was just standing there hoping that no one took all of his suits. And so then, obviously, I'm guessing there was like a few hour time limit. And then Otto kicks everyone out of the pool. And he's like, time's up, Bart. And he's like, I'm going to stow away under the water and go where the pool goes. And Bart can hold his breath underwater for a mere 10 seconds. Yeah. And comes out. I mean, I don't see why you'd have to go where the pool goes. Plus,
it's cool.
Apparently.
It's nice and cool.
I mean, where else it's going to go? Is it going to be it's the Springfield pool mobile. It's going to wind up somewhere else in the town of Springfield, right? It's not like it's headed off to Shelbyville or anything.
Well, you don't know that. Maybe they rented it.
And so Otto, picks Bart out of the pool and tells him, we got to fill this thing with Epsom salts and jam it on over to the old folks' home.
Would the old folks really use a pool mobile, though?
There's no way.
No?
None of those people, they're going to walk outside, I mean, as we see often, and go right back inside. They don't want to be in that.
Yeah.
No. Plus, old folks really don't care about the heat.
Yep. Yeah. No, they like the heat, right?
Yeah.
So Bart asks Otto if he'll be back tomorrow, same time, and Otto tells him they are only budgeted for one day.
Well, I mean, how much can a pool mobile cost?
I mean, if it's only going to be at one location in the town of Springfield, I mean, it can't cost too much money for gas, and you don't have to heat the pool. It's hot enough outside, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you have the budget to create a pool mobile, I think you can afford to drive it around a little more. Maybe charge a fee. I mean, make your money back.
Yeah, there you go.
See, $2. Just charge $2 per kid.
See, that's the problem with Springfield. They don't know how to make money. That's why the town's always going broke.
Well, he could have made $38 right there in that little spot.
Yep.
Well, it's also, Mayor Quimby runs the town, so.
Yeah, that's where all the money goes.
Yeah, true.
So Bart and Lisa, walk up to Homer, and he's obviously trying to watch TV and not pay attention to the kids. And so Lisa's like, Dad, as you know, we've been swimming, and we developed a taste for it. We both agree that getting your own pool is the only way to go. Now, before you respond, you must understand that your refusal would result in months and months of, can we have a pool, Dad? 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 And then I like how Bart's going to say it one more time, and Lisa's like, stop.
Enough.
I was, that's my favorite little detail. She decides, she's like, that's enough for now.
Yep.
I love that.
But it's Bart. And Bart just wants to keep doing it.
Yep. No. Lisa's like, hold on. We gotta wait for it to stop.
Allow rebuttal.
Yep. And Homer's like, I understand. Let's celebrate this by adding chocolate to milk.
Why couldn't he just? That's such a weird way to say it. Why couldn't you let's celebrate by getting chocolate milk? No, he's got to say it like this.
Now the question is, powdered or liquid chocolate, Homer? Ooh. That's the real question.
I prefer the Hershey's.
Yeah, it's got to be liquid. Come on, we're not making hot chocolate here. We're making. You got to go. You got to go.
Steve.
Come on.
I don't know. What about Nesquik? Right, Nesquik. Well, Nesquik became in both, I guess.
Yeah, Nesquik was fine, but you got to go with the syrup, and also a lot easier to mix up. Really, you don't want to bust out the whisk. Okay, a spoon will do.
Yeah, and so they head off to Pool Sharks. That's a great name for a. I don't know.
I love that.
They
That's
need
a great name.
Yep, where the buyer is our chum.
That's great.
Oh, that's good. I am surprised there is not a pool shop out there called Pool Sharks. That is a great name for a pool store.
So good.
We have a pool store close to where I live, but it's nowhere near as cleverly named. It's just called Pool Works. It's so bland and boring.
Yep. So we get a few models of pools. There's the Hick Tub, the Insta-Rust, the Lightning Magnet. That's a good one. Yeah. And the Tinkler.
Ooh, the Tinkler.
Then I like, I just wants that one. Mark's like, is it true that we should wait at least an hour after eating before going in? And the pool salesman, he's like, look, question lady, this job is not what I really do. I play keyboards.
So that whole myth with waiting an hour,
I thought it was a half hour.
No, it's a myth. You could eat and just jump back in. Now, should you? That's debatable. But yeah, it's a myth that you have to wait an hour. I feel like it's just something parents came up with to keep their kids out of the pool for a little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. What is it it's supposed to make you cramp up or something? Yeah, okay.
It's false. I would really like to know where this myth came from. If a parent decided to do it, or maybe just because you eat depending on the food you eat, if you have pizza and you have grease on your hands and it doesn't mix well with chlorine, I don't know.
Well, if you're gonna cramp up, I mean, maybe just eating. Maybe 4th of July, right? 4th of July, you're eating 5 hamburgers, 2 hot dogs, potato salad. I mean, your stomach's full. I mean, you're not going to
cramp up. Now you're going to get tired. You're going to be you're going to feel full. You're not going to want to go into the pool.
But that's why you'd wait a half hour to go in, so your body can digest your food.
Yeah, but the myth is you cramp up.
Yeah.
So the Simpsons. I don't know why they would decide to build the pool themselves. Because usually, I've never bought a pool from a pool place, but don't they normally bring it and put it up for you?
Most professional pool places would, but I mean, if you go to Target or whatever and buy a pool off their, floor, you'll have to build it yourself.
That is true.
I mean, we saw the guy that was helping them. He definitely wasn't going to recommend the premium package to them.
No, that's
probably
true.
Not.
So the Simpsons go about to build their pool, except for the fact that they built a barn somehow.
'Tis no pool. A mighty fine barn, though.
And for some reason, so we get a montage of them building this pool, and during this montage, Maggie can carry a circular saw.
Yeah, she wants to help out, man. But I don't know. The pool's metal. I don't know what you're using a circular saw for.
Yeah,
but it's Maggie though. She has no clue about power tools.
Also, how can she carry circular saws aren't the lightest things in the world, and she's a baby.
Yeah.
I mean, we know Maggie's kind of super baby. I mean, there's an episode where she pulls Homer out of the ocean. So yeah, I mean, I guess Maggie, and she shot a guy. I mean, come on, she's not.
But that was an accident, though. But that was an accident, though.
Nah. She pulls the trigger, man. I just broke that episode down. She pulls the trigger. She did it on purpose.
Oh, okay. And so out of nowhere, an Amish guy comes out to point out to Homer that it's a barn that they built. It is a good barn. And some Amish, and I love how when Homer responds, he goes "doeth."
Yeah,
that's great. That's another great detail. It's a great detail. And so now the next shot we get is now they have a pool. somehow. I don't know if they tore the barn down and rebuilt it, or they went back and like, you sold us a barn, we want a pool. And so Homer asks Lisa if it's a pool yet. She's like, yes it is, Homer. And Homer's like, woohoo! Because they got a pool.
Yep.
I just, like, how do you not know what a pool looks like, Homer? Okay, it's Homer. Never mind. Bad question.
Yeah, he's been through a lot. Come on.
Yeah. And so, the doorbell rings, and Marge's like, well, who could that be? Like, I don't know how it got out that the Simpsons got a pool. I mean, they do live in a small town, so maybe, word just travels. And we get the neighborhood children at the door, and Jimbo goes, hello, Mrs. Bart? Is your pool ready yet?
So this leads to the question. So obviously growing up, we had a neighbor with a pool.
Yes.
And it was amazing. I mean, we didn't need one because our neighbor had one. Warren, obviously Florida, almost like probably every house has a pool, right? Or
you'd be surprised. Not really, because people go to the beach.
Oh,
yeah, there's a beach.
Yeah, there's a beach. So when I actually grew up in Mississippi. I've only lived in Florida for like a little over 10 years at this point.
Okay.
And so as a kid, my family didn't have a lot of money, but we actually did get a pool. It's one of the few like luxuries we had. It is an above ground pool, nothing fancy. Yeah. But man, we spent so much time in that thing. And it is true. The neighborhood kids will come over and say, hey, is it okay if we swim in your pool? Like, it's a definite way to get people over to your house.
And it's a good way to make friends.
Yeah, totally.
Well, as we'll learn, it's a good way to make friends. But when your pool goes, or someone else gets a better pool, so do your friends.
So now we go outside, and all the kids are splashing around, having a good time. And Bart, climbs up to the top of his treehouse to yell down at the kids.
You forgot about the kids running through the house.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's kids running through the house, and Bart's like, Bart, do you know all these people? And Bart's like, yeah, they're all friends. And there's like teenagers that like, I don't think we ever really see in Springfield. Like, we really get like shots of teenagers, and they walk by Marge, and there's this kid sitting on the counter, and they're like, hey Bart, hey Bart, hey Bart. And it's not Bart.
Yeah.
It's got to be kids from another neighborhood, because one of those guys straight up says, hello, Mrs. Cumberdale.
Yeah.
So weird.
Oh my God. So now we go outside, and Bart climbs up to yell down to the kids to discuss the pool safety rules.
Yeah.
And then they all start to chant,
jump, Bart, jump, Bart,
jump. And so Nelson calls up to Bart, hey Bart, your epidermis is showing. It is? I love this scene. I love, because I think I've used this before. And so now Bart, who is embarrassed, he shifts around looking to see what's exposed. And as he's doing that, he falls off the treehouse. Nelson turns to Kearney as Bart screams on his way to the ground, see, epidermis means your hair. And then we hear Bart slam to the ground. And Nelson continues, so technically it's true. That's what makes it so funny.
You know what's funny about that, though? It's actually not true. That's not what an epidermis is.
No,
an epidermis is the outer layer. I just Googled it because I was like, I knew from looking this up in the past that that's not actually what an epidermis is. Your epidermis is the outermost layer of skin on your body. So it's like, it's the layer of skin that protects your body and keeps you hydrated. So Nelson's a dumbass too. He doesn't know. Well, obviously, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
But
he's not. He wasn't
technically
he was wrong. He was wrong, but also what he was saying was,
true. Yeah,
true. Bart's epidermis is showing because it's the skin, and so Nelson's like, "Pardon me for a moment," and he turns to Bart's unconscious body. Ha ha! And Milhouse, hey Nelson, he's really hurt. I think he broke his leg. I said, ha ha. Oh, I love that. Your epidermis is showing. I love
so
it.
Good.
So good. Man. Bart is really, really hurt. And so I love the fact. So I broke my wrist in 8th grade. My mom had to come get me from school and bring me to the hospital. I feel like an ambulance and what they're doing with Bart is a little over the top. Now, maybe they don't know how badly he's hurt.
Well, he could have a concussion. I mean, he was knocked cold out.
He fell out of a tree.
Yeah.
So Bart is rushed into the hospital. And he's like, they do the thing, you know, when you see in like shows and hospital shows where like they push the person down the hall on the gurney and they're like trying to save their life. So this is kind of the scene. And so they're pushing them down the hallway. I do love how like Homer like has to run to catch up to them. That was a great little nugget. And so, but all they're doing is wheeling them into the emergency room.
Yeah, it's not even
So
like usually like ambulance to emergency room is one door, not several doors.
And usually if you're in an ambulance, they're rushing you in. They're bringing you into a room like by yourself.
Right. They're not taking you to the lobby.
No. And so Bart is just left there in the gurney.
All right, so who else is so Robert, you broke your arm. I broke my ring finger falling down a stairs while holding cereal and coffee because my Deadpool slippers didn't want to act right.
Oh, I remember that. I remember you.
Warren, what have you broken?
So, guys, I'm going to knock on wood, but I have never broken a bone. I've sprained my wrist playing basketball. I've injured myself, but I have never actually broken a bone.
So I'll tell you this much. My broken bone wasn't a full break. It was a hairline fracture. That hurts a lot more than if you actually break it clean.
I think if I ever did break something, I don't have like a weak stomach or anything, but I would have a really hard time, depending on how severe the break is. I would have a hard time not being very disturbed by the fact that part of my body is flailing. I think I would really struggle with that.
Yeah, I hadn't broken a bone in my body either, and I was an insane snowboarder, did double blacks out in Colorado. I did some dumb shit, like went off big air jumps. Like it's actually quite amazing. I had never broken a bone.
Well, you did hurt your head and started bleeding from your head when you were in high school.
Yeah, but that's not a broken bone. Not
you
even
broke your scalp. You started bleeding.
Yeah, but that's just skin. That's skin. That's not bone.
It's fair.
Yeah, that's just the part that protects my brain. That's
exactly. No big deal.
No big deal. So now they bring Bart to Dr. Hibbert, they've done the X-ray on the broken bone, and Dr. Hibbert's like, "I'm sorry. That leg's gonna have to come off." Bart and Homer gasp. Did I say leg? I meant that wet bathing suit. I'm afraid you'll need a cast on that broken bone. Bart's like, "Oh, I'm going to miss the whole summer." Homer goes, "Oh, don't worry, boy. When you get a job like me, you'll miss every summer." God, is that not the truth or what?
So true. So true.
Yeah, getting an X-ray, and it's a little scary when you're a kid, because you don't really kind of know what's going on, but like it sucks, man.
So I don't know what came first, but this scene, after watching this and Bart missing out on summer, kind of I just recently watched Rookie of the Year.
Oh,
and
okay.
where Rowan Gardner breaks his arm and basically has to spend the entire summer in a cast. Kind of I don't know which came first in the lineup of that movie versus this episode of The Simpsons, or it was really, really close, but reminded me of that.
I will say when I broke my wrist, I had to miss. So our middle school used to do cave trips. I don't know if they still do. And I had to miss the cave trip that year because I broke my wrist. I was very upset.
Yeah.
So I feel Bart's anguish. Also, while he's sitting on the doctor's table, I don't know if it was just because of the animation or, the way Bart was sitting. I don't know how you would sit with a broken leg. I feel like he might be in a wheelchair. Also, he didn't have a boot on because normally, I feel like they would put something on if you have a broken leg. But, him sitting there didn't seem like he had a broken leg.
Well, I know when he fell out of the tree, it was twisted. Maybe they reset it. I don't know.
I don't know how broken legs work. I definitely had I've never broken a leg, so I don't know how that works. But when I broke my wrist, you could definitely tell because there was a lot of swelling.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe they would have a bump coming out of his leg or whatever to show swelling. But yeah. So now we go back to the Simpsons house where Lisa is talking to some of the kids in the pool, and Sherry and Terry tell Lisa Like, isn't it amazing that the same day you guys got a pool was the same day we all thought you were cool? God, the kids are so cruel.
Well, it's Lisa.
Yeah.
She used to, I mean, she's the nerd of all the group.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a pool, you become cool. That's
Nice
usually
run.
how it goes. Yeah,
Nice
thanks.
run.
Well, they said the quiet part out loud. They didn't have to tell her that.
No,
Come on,
no, they
Sherry and
didn't.
Terry.
Yo,
You guys are
It's-
more clever than that.
So Lisa sees Bart sitting by the pool, and she's like, well, maybe I should go join Bart so he doesn't feel bad, which is what prompted Sherry and Terry to tell her that she's cool now.
Yo.
And Bart's, sad sitting by the pool, and all the kids kind of like sneak past him, which, why? I mean, maybe they feel bad for Bart, but then Milhouse, and he's just like, hey guys, come sign my cast.
Yeah, sign my cast.
And nobody wants to sign his cast. I thought Bart was a popular kid. Like, yeah, he broke his leg and he can't join him in the pool, but like, you can still interact with him. He doesn't have leprosy.
I mean, I know like a lot of my friends in school that have always broken bones. I mean, everyone signs your cast. I mean, it's kind of the cool thing to do, really.
Oh yeah, I had a crap ton of kids sign my cast.
Yeah.
I
I
always took this scene as them like, it's not so much that they don't like Bart, it's that they are so enamored with this pool because apparently no one has a pool because that's why they lost their shit for the pool mobile. So apparently they are just like, oh yeah, whatever, It's like when you ask Homer for money and he's distracted. Like I guess they're just like, who cares about anything other than this pool?
Yeah,
but no, that is a good point.
That take.
Yeah, and so Milhouse tries to sneak past Bart, and Bart, catches him. He's like, "Hey, Milhouse, sign my cast." And he, tries to keep Milhouse by his side, and Milhouse literally keeps like looking at the pool, and it's like, I think I left my glasses in the pool. And Bart points out, "You're wearing your glasses," as Milhouse is writing "Mill Pool" on his cast and runs away.
This has got to be one of the jokes from The Simpsons that I think is most universal.
Oh yeah.
I think this is like, I would say your average Simpsons fan. Let's say someone that likes the show but isn't like a die-hard fan. I think if there is one sort of obscure joke that they get or know, it's this one. It's one of the ones they get.
And it seems to be also a Millhouse thing. Like Millpool and Thrill House are like the two things that a universal Simpsons fan would get, and they're both Millhouse.
So strange. I've said this multiple times. I don't want to beat the drum here that I don't like Milhouse, because that's not true.
Yeah.
I do think out of all the popular characters from the show, he is one of my least favorite.
He doesn't get much I mean, the funny thing is he doesn't get much in the way of screen time. It's usually it's just a single interaction. That's what it always seems like with Milhouse. Aside from the Radioactive Man episode where he becomes, Fallout Boy, there's really not much in the way of Milhouse.
Well, there was also the episode where they got, was it Bone Storm? Was it there's the video game episode where Luann and Kirk didn't want Bart and Milhouse to be friends.
Yeah. So, I guess there's a few, but, there's not much. Milhouse is really just that random side character that Bart talks to every once in a while, even though they're supposed to be best friends.
Yeah, and Radioactive Man is a great example because that is my favorite Milhouse story because he has some actual depth in that episode. I feel like in general, he's just the kid. It's like, oh, that's right. He'll do anything Bart says, and he's obsessed with Lisa. I like seeing, I would love, and there are a lot of Milhouse stories, but I like episodes where he actually gets to, you see other sides of him. I don't think we get that enough, which is why I say that.
Yep. Okay. So Lisa sees how sad Bart, looks, and she thinks she should hang out with him instead. And we see all the other kids, trying to impress Lisa, and she's like, I'll stay in the pool. He's just my brother. What has he ever done for me?
Right.
And so Bart's brain is like, well, it looks like it's just you and me, Barty boy. And Bart's like, oh great, I get to spend the summer with my brain.
Which as we progress through this episode is probably not a good idea.
Nope.
No.
So just as Bart, rationalizes that the pool is no more fun than being in a bathtub with a garbage bag taped around your cast, which, couldn't he do that in the pool? Like sit on like a floaty or something? And
Well, with a leg cast, I mean, he could. I would advise against it. See, I don't know what happens if you get the cast wet, like soaking wet. Like, I never did that when I broke my.
Well, I feel isn't like a cast like just like a paper, like a really thick paper mache material.
It is.
So getting that wet would be bad, but that's why you wrap it in a garbage bag when you take a shower or take a bath.
Which is what I did.
Yeah, but I'm thinking if you're just on like a inner tube or a, floaty mat, you're not really getting it wet. I mean, in case maybe kids splash it.
Yeah, as I say, I can't trust those other kids. They're definitely gonna knock him over. Nelson's gonna dunk him or something. It's he can't go in there.
Yep. No. And so he sees the neighborhood kids performing a synchronized Busby Berkeley style number with Lisa in the center, a la Esther Williams.
Yeah, I love this scene. It's great.
Yep. And then, I like how Homer at the end enters the circle of kids with a beer fountain coming out of his mouth. I mean, I don't know if the kids would allow most parents into a pool if they're having a party, but it's Homer. Homer's allowed to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, Homer wouldn't listen anyway, so he's getting it.
Yep. And so obviously this angers Bart. He closes the window shade and calls everyone traitors. I can have fun by myself. And so he turns on Itchy and Scratchy. This episode, Planet of the Aches? Aches.
Planet of the Aches, which is obviously
rip on Planet of the Apes. Yeah.
By the way, the title of this episode, Bart of Darkness, is also a parody of the book. Well, not the actual episode, but the title is a parody off a book called Heart of Darkness, which I was supposed to read my senior year in AP English. And I read like the first chapter, and that was about it.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's what's funny too, and I will say about my name being Bart of Darkness is it's not even like a good name for an episode. Like that's like most Simpsons episode titles are actually not great.
No, they're not.
And so I don't know why I was like, oh, it's got to be a Simpsons episode title, but the fact that I landed on this one, but you got to admit, it just looks nice typed out.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know why, it just does.
But Bart does kind of spiral into this darkness.
He does, and I'm sure that's where it's just episode titles are hard anyway, but some of them are very funny, and this one just doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's good.
Yep. So we see Itchy barricades Scratchy behind a brick wall of a dungeon. Then 3,000 years later, because cats live forever.
Yes.
Futuristic, tools rip out the bricks, and emaciated elderly Scratchy is led away. His, all the other Itchies in the world, with big pulsing, brains, and water-thin bodies and telekinetic powers. They groom Scratchy, bathe him, put him in a white robe, lead him to a Roman-style Colosseum. I feel like in the future things would be, more robust, but...
yeah.
Well, this is an apocalyptic scenario, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, when Itchies take over, yeah, that makes sense. In the future... futuristic Itchies fill the stands like they're all the same. And suddenly all the Itchies' brains pulse and destructive tools, knives, axes... ninja stars fly at Scratchy, slicing him into pieces, and he falls into a pile of bloody goo, and everyone applauds.
Yep.
I've never felt worse for Scratchy. This is like the one that makes me so sad because when they open up the wall, he's so scared.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, they're being so nice to him and he's so relieved. He's been through so much. And then it's like, no, fuck him. He's gone.
Yeah. Yep.
It's so sad.
There is the one episode where Scratchy finally gets itchy, but we don't get to see it because the TV goes out.
They're never going to let him show that again.
Nope. So Krusty comes back onto TV to tell everyone, hey, I'm taking the rest of the summer off, which is kind of true. I mean, most shows go on a summer hiatus.
Yep.
And so
we're getting to that point right now.
Yeah. And so they're going to be showing classic Krusties, much to Krusty's jargon, because apparently he has no control over what episodes they show while he's...
Well, no, he's just the host.
But what's funny about like when Conan or Leno or any of the night show hosts go on their hiatus, they always show episodes from the previous, quote unquote season of shows. They don't go back 20 years and
they're not starting from the top. They're like, all right, well, we're going on a break, so here's 50 years ago.
Exactly. Most shows don't do that. The first episode of Classic Krusty is the February 6, 1961. Features a discussion on collective bargaining agreements with the AFL-CIO Chairman George Meany.
Oh my! What was he thinking?
Yeah. And so now we get Homer up early to use the pool because there's nothing better than going swimming right away in the morning. Now, my question is, now, obviously it's a hot summer. I get that.
Yes.
Some days are hot, some days are cool, some days are rainy. I mean, now that you got a pool, I guess you'll want to jump in every day, but I feel like there's just no slowing down in this pool. It's just, 100-degree days for the rest of summer. But he jumps in, and obviously they've never chlorinated the pool like they should have.
Yep.
And Homer was like, the blob monster's got me. Keep away. And, Lisa tells Homer, you got to put chlorine into the pool every day to keep the pool clean.
Now, I don't know if it's, I mean, Warren, you probably know better because you owned a pool, but I don't think you need to put chlorine in it every day.
I don't think it's every day. I think it's more like every week. But also, have either of you ever been in a pool with too much chlorine in it?
Yes.
That is a real thing.
No.
And you can definitely feel it when there's too much. It's not as bad as we see here. But like you can tell, like if you're in a pool with too much chlorine and you open your eyes underwater, you can definitely tell it's not just water.
Oh, so this just happened to me out in California. So I did a dumb thing. I went swimming in a pool with my contacts in.
Shocking.
So that was kind of dumb in of itself. But yes, I opened my waters underneath the pool, got instant burning, like instant.
Yeah.
So I ran up, took my contacts out, and then went back into the pool. Still same thing every time I went under the water. It was definitely.
Well, then
not
it was
good.
over chlorinated because
Yep.
I wore contacts for a while and I swum with my contacts and never really had that issue.
So no, it was definitely over chlorinated. And for like the next week, my eyes were tearing up. They were kind of burning still. I called my optometrist because I'm like, what do I do? They're like, no, just get some lubricating drops. Don't put contacts in. Keep your eyes, nice and clean. And then, 4 days later, I finally was able to put my contacts back in. But yeah, over chlorinating pools. Yeah, it is not fun on the eyes.
Yeah, I think someone asked like, "Oh, did you put chlorine in the pool yet?" And the guy had already done it, had left for the day or something. They must have hit it twice.
Jeez. And so Homer, obviously over chlorinated the pool, and the kids' eyes start burning. Milhouse instantly develops bleached skin and hair. Ralph is, my face is on fire.
Oh, Ralph. Which, I mean, to be fair, not a dumb thing to say.
No, his face was definitely on fire.
Yeah. And so, Marge and Lisa are watching all of this unfold, and, she does her grunt, and she turns around to see Bart, and she's like, hey, Lisa, wave to your brother. And so they waved at Bart, but Bart just, shuts his window shade because he doesn't want to be bothered. He's kind of going insane a little bit because he's isolated. And Marge suggests to spend more time with Bart because, as I just mentioned, he's become isolated and weird.
Yeah.
What is he doing that's so weird?
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Right here,
that's
next scene. This is exactly what he's doing. That's weird.
So Bart is playing a game called Stratego, and if you guys have never played it, it's actually really fun.
I love
game.
Stratego.
It's great. And he's using the pieces as action figures, and he says, I swear, I don't know where the bombs are. Only the miners know that. And in the rules of Stratego, the miners can defuse the bombs.
Yep.
So they don't know where they are, but if you come across a bomb with a miner, they get to defuse the bomb.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I love that because he's gone insane.
Now, have any of you played board games by yourself and made up your own rules? Like Monopoly, Stratego?
Maybe when I was a kid. I don't recall anything specific. I would commonly, as a kid, if I got really bored, pull out a board game and just sort of mess around with if it was a game that had like cool pieces or something, I might just like sort of mess with it but not really play it. But then I would probably just look for someone to play it with me.
Yeah, I think me and Robert, we did that. Remember at our grandma's house, we had that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like pizza game that we had no clue how to play because there was no rules.
Yeah.
And,
I don't remember this.
Okay, so yeah, in our grandparents' basement, they had this, and we just kind of made up our own rules because there was literally no rules in the box. It was just the board, pizza discs, and the characters. Like that was literally it.
I don't remember this at all.
Oh.
I mean, I'm sure it happened. I just don't remember it. I have a terrible memory. So Lisa, decides to check on Bart. And as she's about to turn the light on, because it's, he's got the window shade pulled, he's got the lights off. It's dark in his room, and Bart yells at Lisa not to turn on the light. And Lisa, she's like, all right, I'm not going to turn on the light on. And she grabs a piece of paper, and she discovers that Bart is writing a play. All right, more power to Bart. And Lisa starts to read the play, but Bart, is like, no, that's mine. And he snatches it out of her hand and puts it in his nightstand. Now, the weird thing is about this scene is Bart puts it in the nightstand. We hear the sound effect of the drawer closing, but when the drawer is shown, it is still open.
Yeah, that's an interesting animation mistake. I also want to say, though, that the way this scene is, like the lighting of this scene, that's kind of hard to do, I'm sure, because you're having to paint these layers of color. It is one of my favorite looking scenes in the entire show, because I like seeing Bart, he's wearing like his clothes look a different color. It's this really cool blue. I don't know. I think it's a really great looking scene. But it is weird with the drawer. Maybe it's almost like they used a piece of animation from before he shut the drawer. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of like this is the first sound one. Remember during the opening credits of that one episode where Homer screams.
Oh yeah, but he doesn't yell dough.
But he doesn't yell dough when Marge is trying to run him over. Like you see Homer's face scream, but there's no sound of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Normally with the Simpsons, they're really good with their sound. Not necessarily the first like 7 seasons, the the animations kind of blend a little bit, not as well as they probably do in the newer episodes.
Yeah. Once you go digital, man, there's no choice. I mean, if you make
this is what I will say about this scene, and I actually want to watch it again and pay attention to that because it's never really stood out to me. My explanation for it off the cuff would be maybe he tried to shut the drawer, but he has something stuck in there, so it didn't actually shut, but still made a noise.
That is okay.
I'm gonna say Bart doesn't keep a clean clean drawer, so he's got to have something wedged back there.
Well, we've all seen his bedroom,
right? Yeah. Come on.
So then Bart asks Lisa, how's it being popular? And Lisa's like, oh, it's okay, being humble about it. And then she pauses. It's the best thing that has ever happened. And as a kid, you want to be liked by your fellow kids, and you want to be popular. And, I think that's just human nature. It's somewhat in human nature to be wanted by other people.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's okay to be popular, but Lisa's never been popular. So, of course, for her, this is the best thing ever.
I mean, as someone who's always been cool, I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Oh, God. So Lisa decides, she wants to bring Bart a gift. And it's a telescope that she won at an optics festival. Whatever the hell an optics festival
How come
is.
I wasn't told about this optics festival?
Bart is like, what are you, an optics festival? I wasn't informed. And he kicks Lisa out of his room. Like, Bart would go to an what is an optics festival? Is it like just glasses,
glasses, telescopes, magnifying glass, anything that has to do with lenses? I bet it's anything that has to do with lenses.
That's a weird kind of festival.
Man, there are festivals for literally anything. I don't know if you guys watch How To with John Wilson, but he finds a convention about conventions. So I mean, there is a niche meeting place for literally anything. I bet there's a festival. There's got to be a festival like specifically about carrots. You know what I mean? So there's probably an optics festival. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. And so Bart pulls out a Mad magazine. And he turns to an article that is called "The Lighter Side of Hippies." I don't think Eric Cartman would enjoy that article.
Nope.
No, not at all. And so now we got cut outside. It's nighttime. Homer and Marge are skinny dipping, and Marge is like, "Oh, this was a lovely idea, homie. come here and kiss me. And so now we hear a helicopter whirring and a searchlight, gets a spotlight on the Simpsons as they're skinny dipping, and they both scream and, try to cover up because, helicopter. And it's Wiggum abusing his powers, using the Springfield police helicopter. And Wiggum, through a megaphone, because it's a helicopter and it's loud, do not be alarmed. Continue swimming naked. Aw, come on. Continue. Come on.
I love that Wiggum really wanted to see, of all people, he wanted to see Homer have sex with his wife in a pool.
Yeah.
All right, Lou, open fire.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that so much. It's so great.
I don't see why of all the people in Springfield, I mean, who else?
Maud and Ned?
Yeah, right.
I mean, if I had to watch somebody, it's probably gonna be Maud and Ned. I mean,
yeah, that'd be the most interesting of them all.
Well, as we're gonna learn, Homer has a thing for Maud.
Yeah.
And so that's the scene there. Oh yeah, it's a great scene. So Bart, decides to use his telescope, and he's looking out in the vast sky, and apparently this telescope is powerful enough to actually look into space.
Oh, we saw King and Kodo's ship, I think, fly by.
That is a very real possibility. I might have missed that.
Oh, we did. There was a spaceship flying by in space.
There is? Okay. And so I love how Bart's like, the universe is so boring. I'm going to use it to spy on the town instead.
I mean, I had a telescope growing up. I don't think I didn't look in the sky too often. I just wanted to see what my neighbors were up to.
And so this is the part of the episode where we kind of go into the similarities with Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window.
Yep.
oh yeah.
Which is this back half is a lot of it's pulled from that movie. And so Bart's his first spying attempt is to look at the elementary school, where we see Skinner is just sharpening pencils. I don't know why Skinner would. I mean, maybe he's avoiding his mother.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'm sure Agnes would want Skinner at home after dark.
Yeah. Plus, isn't if this is summer, Skinner wouldn't be at the school.
Well, Skinner is a maniac, and he he probably, he loves being at school so much that he's like, okay, I'm just going to spend every day getting slowly prepared for when school comes back.
Yeah, there you go.
Sharpen some pencils, clean some erasers,
Yeah, and so the next person Bart decides to spy on is Dr. Hibbert, who is he's exercising. Good for him. And in the wall of Dr. Hibbert's workout room, we see family portraits and picture frames, and it's they're white, like the people, there's no faces or anything, but they're white.
Okay.
Which I thought was weird.
Oh, I guess I didn't notice that.
Yeah. So is that
because Dr. Hibbert's black, that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe they're friends of his, or
that never occurred to me, and I'm sort of you can't see me right now, but I'm sort of making a face of weird that I've never noticed that. I gotta that just never stuck out to me. Maybe they just forgot to color them, maybe he's at a gym. I don't, that never occurred to me.
Yeah, I mean it looks like a house, like a room in a house.
Yeah, because he's watching TV. Well, I mean, I guess, he's watching TV, so...
I'm literally going to look this up on Freakiac while you guys continue talking.
Okay.
Awesome. So the next person that Bart spies on is Jimmy Stewart, who is also spying on the town. And the pictures on the wall of Jimmy Stewart's room feature a race car wreck and a plane, which are the same ones in Hitchcock's Rear Window. So that's kind of a neat pull.
Now, something that I was thinking about, I thought this was weird. Okay, so Jimmy Stewart can obviously see Bart,
yes,
looking at him. Yes. And I was almost wondering if Jimmy Stewart lives in the future Bush's house, George Bush's house, in the future Jimmy Carter's house. Because it seems like that house is meant for celebrities and other guests. So I wonder if that's the house Bart's looking at, and Jimmy Stewart just happens to live in that house.
Maybe. And Jimmy Stewart, as we see later on, also has a broken leg.
Yep.
Yeah, he does. Yo, I just want to say about the Dr. Hibbert thing, and I forgot that he was watching like a TV, so he's clearly in his own house. I think, honestly, because their faces are so small and out of detail, that they were afraid if they colored them any darker that they would just sort of blend in with the background. Okay. I think maybe they just thought it was too, unimportant to color them. I don't know. Or they just forgot to color them. That's my explanation.
See, we dig deep on The Simpsons, didn't we? We go deep. If you don't color shit in, we're getting you.
Yeah, we're gonna notice here.
Yeah. And so, Bart's like, nothing's gonna happen. And he starts to put this telescope away.
Hey, Ma, this sinister-looking kid is looking at me.
Oh, God, that's hilarious. And so as soon as Bart puts his telescope away, he hears someone scream in the distance.
Yep, and the scream is coming from Flanders' house. And he starts to put the telescope back together, but he stops. It's like, I really didn't hear anything. And then he hears another scream. And, Bart spies, on Ned through the window. He's all distressed. And he's confessing to killing her, quote unquote. Yep. And closes the window shade. And
oh, Ned, what have you done?
And Bart's like, this can't be what it looks like. There's got to be some other explanation. And Flanders like, I wish there was some other explanation for this. But there isn't. I'm a murderer. And Bart's like, then that's not the real Ned Flanders. I'm a diddly Erdler. If that's not Flanders, he's done his homework.
So before all that kind of happened, though, is Bart decided to turn on the TV and we get more classic Krusty.
Yeah, some guy playing the Indian guitar thing.
And Bart is actually woken up, and because Bart falls asleep because it's classic Krusty, and he's woken up by the sound of Ned digging, and then the whole, Bart saying, I can't believe what I'm seeing kind of thing.
Well, and I also want to say, this scene is so funny because, it's like the classic unrealistic television thing where everything Ned says is a direct response to what Bart is saying to himself.
Yep.
And that is just such a funny back and forth of oh, well, that can't really be Ned. And it's just such a great scene. This episode, we talked about how it doesn't really feel like any other Simpsons episode. Not only that, but it moves so quickly and so much happens that it almost doesn't feel like it's in the same world as 99% of the episodes. So it's really strange.
And obviously you've mentioned this on your podcast, Warren, and we've kind of talked about it. This season's once season 6 hits, and season 5 was great. I'm not going to say anything bad about season 5.
Great season.
But once season 6 hits, it just seems like every episode back to back to back just is amazing all the way through season 10 and onward.
I think it's because, and this is my theory on that, David Merkin came in at season 5 and he was, new to this kind of space. He worked in comedy, but he had never worked in animation. So this was a totally new space for him. It was almost doomed to fail in a lot of ways because of that. But I think by the time they got to 6 and they realized that 5 did work, they just dug into that same thing, because in a lot of ways, a season like 5, I think normally some of the premises are a little too out there for what was on television, especially animated television. So the fact that it worked, they were like, well, shit, let's just keep it going. I think they really figured it out, even more so from 5 and 6.
Yeah.
And I think 6, just all killer, no filler. Not a single misstep in the whole season.
Yep, absolutely. And so, the next day, Bart's spying on Flanders again, and Ron and Todd are asking him, where's Mom? And Ned tells them, oh, she had to go away. She's with God now. And the boys cheer, absolutely, yes, I killed your mother. And he asks if they can go there too, and Ned's like, soon enough. So, in retrospect, was Ned telling the kids that they can go to Bible study camp too? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Way to ruin the end of the episode.
But it feels so dark.
It does.
Just them being like, Daddy, where's Mommy? We miss her. And he's like, it just sounds like he's going to kill his children.
Well, yes. I know. It's why wouldn't they already know where she went? She just didn't leave in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that is kind of odd.
But Bart's like, he's going to kill Rod and Todd too. That's horrible.
In
In
principle.
principle.
maybe they're just that dumb. I mean, maybe. Well, honestly, though, let's remember, Rod and Ty go to bed at like 7:00.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They go to bed when other kids are still playing outside. So maybe she left after they went to bed.
Yeah,
A reasonable time to leave.
I feel like Ned and Maude would tell the kids, "Oh, mommy's gonna go away for a week to Bible camp."
Yeah.
Like I feel like that, like just be like, I mean, it's possible they, Ned told them she was gonna leave, and they forgot.
I think they would beg to go if they knew.
Oh,
So
that
they
too. Yeah.
She had to sneak. She had to sneak out, or they would just, they wouldn't let her go.
Yep. And so Lisa's floating in the pool, and Nelson gives her some change that he found, and Ralph comes out. Someone stole my juice money.
Juice money.
Why does Ralph even have coins in the pool?
because he's Ralph.
Yeah, we know why. We know
Yeah.
why.
And so the kids, crowd around Lisa, and she's ready to rock and roll. She's, she's in on it. And an English boy comes up. Lisa, please join my family for a weekend in the country. They'll be hunting, charades, and ever so many delightful romantic misunderstandings. In Lisa's brain, they're only using you for your pool, Shut up, brain. I've got friends now. I don't need you anymore. Oh, Lisa, falling into the dreaded trap.
This Lisa, this like boy crazy Lisa right here is actually one of my favorite things that you don't see from her enough. I love her just kind of be like, let's go to your house. Like that. I think that's a funny layer to her.
Well, it's funny. We mentioned in the first 5 seasons where Lisa just has almost no identity. She's either 8-year-old Lisa being an absolute kid, like we've seen that from her, and then we see 8-year-old Lisa being more of that grown up. And I just don't think it was used correctly in those first 5 seasons because they always flip-flopped it. And I'm like, Lisa, you're smart. Why are you acting like that? But then you have to realize, yes, she is an 8-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I think, once again, season 6 on, you actually have more of a Lisa identity where, yes, she's an 8-year-old kid. Yes, she's smart. And they mix it well together.
100%.
And so we find out Martin got his own pool. And yeah, that pool definitely looks way better than the Simpsons one. It's got a, volleyball court. It's wood. It's got a deck on it. And he'll soon be the queen of summertime.
King.
I love how the pool, because he's got people installing the pool for him, and they just kind of look at him side eye.
Yeah. Okay, kid. And then Jimbo, Kearney, and Dolph, hear that an even wussier kid than Lisa has a pool, and all the kids leave.
It's possible some of the kids stay. Now, obviously, Lisa isn't the most popular kid. But I feel like some of the kids might have stayed.
Nah, they all jump ship.
Someone should have gone and canvassed the new pool and then came back and reported, because for all they know, they all run over there and it sucks. Now, granted, it doesn't because it's Martin we're talking about. Yeah. But, somebody should have stuck behind.
And Martin's parents are like doctors or something, aren't they? They definitely have money.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised they didn't already have a pool.
Yeah, that too.
Well, we also, we're talking about modern Simpsons a little bit. We also just learned that he has an older brother.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. Which I had that, but those are some of the small bits about the newer seasons that almost irk me. I'm like, come on, 33 years in, and you couldn't have just even hinted once at that?
I mean, but I don't think they ever hinted that he didn't have a brother, but I don't know. But also, at this point, I will say, and this, again, everyone knows me for this. I'm sure there's people rolling their eyes. But why not?
Yeah, no, I get it. But it's just some of those small tweaks that I'm like, okay.
Well, the one tweak in the newer seasons that really irks me was the Homer flashback where he was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't love that either. I could sit here and talk for 4 hours about that, but I think at a certain point they had to do something different. So I'm willing to let them slide. I tell people to think of The Simpsons as Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's
there's
fair.
continuity sometimes, but for the most part, every episode is like its own little contained thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's tough sometimes to accept that.
Yeah. So after the kids leave, we see the water level in the pool decrease as Lisa leaves, stranded at the bottom. Now, okay, yes. Wait, if anyone knows about anything about weight, when you add things to a pool, water rises. When you take things away, water decreases. Unfortunately, not at the rate as the Simpsons pool did.
No.
There would even be water left over. There was like bare bones at the bottom of the pool. Like the water was just gone.
Yeah.
So I mean, I like it. I mean, Lisa. I mean, look, you could have decreased the water by half, and I would have still thought it would have been hilarious.
Yeah,
because she still would have been trapped in the pool either way.
I mean, it's just it's just the visual gag of okay, everybody's gone now, and
yep. And Lisa's stuck at the bottom of the pool. Is like, I got to figure a way out of here. Look who's come crawling back.
that would be her brain talking to her.
Yes. Yeah, Lisa. Man, I do think Bart's brain and Bart have a good relationship. Homer's brain and Homer's brain have a good relationship.
Do they though?
Well,
because it leaves from time to time.
Yes. Now Lisa pissed off her brain, man.
Yeah.
She pissed off her brain pretty badly. And so Bart tries to convince now the family that Ned is a murderer because Maude is gone. And Homer asks, why would Ned do that? Because Maude is a fox. And Marge glares at Homer's like, what's on Fox tonight? Something ribald, no doubt.
So I had to look this up, and I also had to watch this scene a couple times because I couldn't figure out what Homer was saying.
Oh, come on, guys. You guys can't be that much younger than me. Ribald, come on.
I've never, not once have I ever heard that word used in a sentence. However, the word ribald refers to sexual matters in an amusingly coarse or irreverent way.
I gotta say, it's not a common word anymore, but I'm surprised when someone hasn't heard it. However, Homer's read in this scene is one of my favorite jokes, if not my favorite joke in the episode, because, he just forgets who he's talking to for a minute. Like, oh, why? But why? She's such a fox. I mean, what's on Fox tonight? Something ribald, no doubt. And you can tell that he is so pleased with his cover-up. I love it.
Yeah. And
God.
Fox was getting into like that 90210 type era, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's sort of stuff Fox is known for now. And Marge tells Bart that she wishes she could stop spreading bad rumors. And she reminds Bart how he got Grandpa tarred and feathered. Well, yeah, that was 20 minutes ago. I'm going to be
in the top for a while.
Yeah, as Abe walks by. I want to see that story. How did Bart get Abe tarred and feathered?
I'm going to say right now, they've done this before on the show. If they made a new episode that was literally the other part of that story, right now, I would love that.
But there's
absolutely.
dude, during like even season 5, there were so many things that happened. I'm like, dude, I want that story.
Oh yeah.
Like I want, and you know what? Here, look, I'll put it into perspective. We all got, the first set of Star Wars. We got the prequel of Star Wars. We got the new Star Wars. Ever since Disney Plus, we're getting stories within those original stories. Yeah. Why can't the Simpsons look, Simpsons, take a page out of your Star Wars thing. Let's get stories within stories. I mean,
maybe they will because they tried to do that like follow up to Camp Krusty.
Yep.
And again, Simpsons. So many of you guys on the team, I love you. I've been, honored to speak to you and get to know you a little bit. But someone should have watched that episode a few times before they made that follow-up. There's just so many glaring little missteps. I'm just like, you guys have access to the original to watch. But I would love to see them. Yeah, I would love to see them dive deep and pull out some side stories for us.
I think that would be great.
Good. So, Lisa apologizes to Bart for ignoring him. She's like, but now that I'm unpopular again, I want to help. Oh my God. And so Bart tells Lisa she can't, she can start helping him by sneaking into the Flanders house. And he's like, oh, you can start right now because they see Ned and the boys, leave the house. And Bart tells Lisa, he's like, bring me some evidence. and something sweet for later. Yeah. So
that's literally me every time my wife goes anywhere. And if you could you bring me a little something sweet for later?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Lisa's like, well, I'm there for you, Bart, but I'm not going to break into anybody's house. Yeah, I'm always there for like friends and family, but I don't know if I would do something illegal for them.
Look, Ned is as charming a gentleman as anyone. He obviously leaves his house unlocked for anyone to just wander into.
I might break into a house for someone, but I'm not breaking into someone's house that I think murdered his wife.
Oh, yeah,
we're not doing that.
I mean,
we're not doing that.
I mean, to be fair, I've broken into somebody's house, but only because they asked me to, because we were locked out.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Bart's like, all right, fine. I'm just gonna read my play for you, and he starts. This is what I should have written down how he started.
Mrs.
Like,
Helga, is it Saint Swithing's Day already? Why
Tis, Aunt Helga.
Why is Bart writing a British play of everything?
He's lost his mind, man. He's not. Yeah, he's lost it.
So Lisa's like, all right, I'll go. She'd rather break into Ned's house than listen to this play, which, to be fair, I would do the same exact thing. And so, Bart, through his telescope, watches Lisa sneak into the Flanders house, and her first stop is the kitchen, and she opens up the refrigerator where she finds, a ball, and on the ball is written human head. Which I don't know. I don't know any. I mean, maybe like serial killers who are also cannibals might label that shit. But she takes it out, and it's got like some like the foggy frost on it, and she wipes it away, and it's actually a Schumann Farms head of lettuce.
Yep.
Which is that's great. I love that. That's a great little blurb.
But what,
it's a terrible joke, which is why
it is.
Yeah,
I know.
Love
it's
it
awesome.
so much.
So Bart checks to see if anybody's coming, and sure enough, Ned comes home. Now, mind you, Ron and Todd aren't in the back seat when Ned comes home.
Oh,
True.
So I want to know where he took them. I mean, I wonder if they kind of made that seem like he killed the kids
for the viewer, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I never really thought about that, but I mean, he must have taken them to like grandma's house or something.
Yeah.
They're visiting somebody.
Yeah.
And so, Bart, he wants Lisa to get out now that he sees Ned is home. But Lisa, instead of leaving, because she doesn't know Ned is back, she goes upstairs, and Bart's like, oh shit, she's going to be trapped there. And so, now Ned has an axe. Why he has an axe, I don't
Because he's going to go put it away.
Well, yeah, but we don't know that.
Not yet, but that's why he has it.
Yeah. So
we do know that Ned is ripped, so he must have just been chopping some firewood or something. But why would you need firewood? It's the middle of the summer. Who the hell knows?
Yeah. So Bart's like, I'm gonna go help, and he like gets up, but he because broken leg and all. He's like, ow, and so all right, well I'll call the cops. So he dials 911, and we get this pre-recording. Hello, and welcome to the Springfield Police Department rescue phone. If you know the name of the felony being committed, press 1. To choose from a list of felonies, press 2. If you are being murdered or are calling from a rotary phone, please stay on the line. Oh my God, I love that. It's such a Springfield police thing to do.
Well,
and
it's the old movie phone.
Yeah. And so Bart, hits a couple of numbers, and it's like, you chose regicide. If you know the name of the king or queen being murdered, which, and yes, regicide is the act of killing a king or queen.
That's good.
I would love to know how they landed on that as the joke. There had to be a few options there. I'd love to see the runner-ups.
It's a great option, though. It's a great option. And so, Bart is watching as, Ned goes up the stairs. And Bart's like, screw it. I'll save you, Lisa. Cast or no cast. And then he promptly steps into his trash can with his cast foot. And he's like, he's so committed to saving Lisa. He gets out of his room.
It's like, I'll save you, Lisa. House. Trash can or no trash can.
And he like gets out of the house, and he keeps, he gets ground, the ground stuck to the trash can, and he steps in a hose. And Jimmy Stewart is watching all this happen. He's like, oh no, this kid is coming to kill me. And he like He like flips over in his wheelchair.
The sinister looking kid's coming to kill me.
Oh my god.
Which that once again, I think that leads me to believe that he's in George Bush's new house across the street.
Yes.
I think that's the only thing that makes sense. That house never gets used.
That does make sense. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And so now we cut back to Ned, who's still walking up the stairs, and now
God, that takes forever to get upstairs, man.
Yeah, and now he's singing "Mary Had a Little Lamb," but in a sinister tone, or like in a soft tone that makes it seem sinister. Oh my god! So Lisa's kind of trapped. She turns around. She sees like the string to the door to the attic. And so she's able to get up there before Ned spots her.
Yep. And, Bart gets into the Flanders house where he has a trash can, a doghouse, a piece of lawn, a tricycle.
No, he doesn't have a doghouse.
What kind of house?
There was no house.
Oh, you wrote house. So I just assumed. A tricycle.
Hose. Sorry, that was supposed to be hose.
Okay, thanks. Come on, proofread your notes.
I'm sorry that spell check doesn't know the difference between hose and house.
All right. Let's start over. Okay. Bart gets into the Flanders house where he has a trash can, a hose, a piece of lawn, a tricycle, and a dog attached to him. Where did this dog come from between the Simpsons and the Flanders house?
Maybe the dog got off the chain.
What chain?
It was not a chain.
It's sort of chained to the tricycle.
Oh. Interesting.
It's like he got wrapped up in the tricycle.
Yeah.
A kid and a guy walking a dog with this kid on a tricycle is walking by the Flanders Simpsons houses just as Bart was walking over.
There you go.
All right.
We got it.
Yeah, there you go. And Ned says in a sinister tone that he's going to put you away for good. And he's obviously talking about the axe. And Lisa screams. Bart yells no. And as Ned puts the axe away, we decide only you can prevent accidents.
God damn it.
Ned really needs to learn to sing, less creepy songs when he's alone. Yeah. And he also needs to learn to not talk to his axe, okay? Because this is some unhinged behavior that makes anyone look like a psychopath.
Oh, that's sign though. God damn it, man.
What in the gumdrops is going on here?
That's right. Then Ned sees the kids and asks, what's going on? And Bart tells them he's stopping Ned from murdering Lisa just like he did his wife. And Ned faints as he hears the word murdered. Oh, and then, so now we see Maud is back to clear up the misunderstanding. So she must have been close. Bible Cat must have been close because they called her and she came back right away. Yeah. And she was there learning how to be more judgmental.
Oh my god, I love that joke so much.
Oh, those Christians and their judgmental ways.
So good.
Bart said, I saw Ned bury something in the backyard. And Ned confesses to being a murderer. And he murdered Maud's favorite ficus plant.
Yep.
And, Ned was hoping to replace it before Maud got home. I mean, he was being a thoughtful husband.
Again, though, Ned has to stop talking to himself.
Yes.
He made himself seem so guilty. He's like yelling at himself in the backyard. He's talking to himself with the axe. Come on.
Why are you screaming when you killed a ficus plant? I mean, maybe he was afraid Maud was going to get angry, but there's.
Yeah, but Bart said, but I heard a woman scream. He's like, well, that's something I can't explain. And Eddie brings out the dead plant from the backyard, and Ned screams in his high-pitched tone, just like the purple drapes.
Yep.
God, so good.
And Bart says, well, that explains everything. And I was like, well, that doesn't explain everything. We still want to know the whereabouts of Maud. And Maud's, Homer, I'm right here. Well, isn't that nice? That wraps everything up in a neat little package.
A neat little package.
I'm sorry if that sounded sarcastic.
I really meant it.
So good.
I do love, Homer's sarcastic rants are amazing. So.
Yes.
And
even just saying, sorry if it sounded sarcastic. Is a joke within a joke within a joke. So good.
Oh, God, so now we see all the kids over at Martin's pool, and what did the kids quadruple since they were over at Lisa's pool?
Martin must live in a much bigger neighborhood.
He must, yes. And obviously it's overfilled. Martin's like, oh, there's some more room over there. and one kid, jumps in and it, completely disassembles the entire pool.
Yeah.
And, Martin.
I have a good question. If Martin's family has so much money, why the hell was he resorting to the pool mobile? Why didn't they buy him a pool a long time ago?
Exactly.
I mean, come on. Yeah, what the hell?
Well, there's also a Springfield Country Club. I feel like Martin and his family would just be members there.
Yeah.
And they could just go to there.
And his older brother's in the band? I mean, come on.
Yeah. So, Martin is sad. All the kids are leaving, and he stands there. And Nelson takes his swim trunks as the song "The Summer Breeze" starts.
Well, Martin says, the gentle caress of a summer breeze.
Yep. And then we hear Frank Sinatra's "Summer Wind" song play over Martin as he's naked standing in the wreckage of his pool.
So good, man.
So, final thoughts on this episode. So if you remember correctly, Warren, we have our rating system for our Simpson episodes. 1 being a doe, 2 don't have a cowman.
Nope.
Sorry, 2 is eat my shorts. 3 don't have a cowman. 4 sprinkles, and 5 everything's coming up Millhouse. So if you want to give your thoughts on this episode and a rating,
I'm giving this one a 5, guys. I mean, it's not the best episode of the season. But I do think because of how, like we've been saying the whole episode, it's so different. It doesn't feel like any other episode of the show. There's like so many qualities about it that make it memorable. It has some of the most memorable screen grabs. I mean, everything about it is unique. Like we said, first one back on a Sunday. So there's a lot of different reasons that this one is memorable and that people look back on it so fondly. So I'm giving it a 5 out of principle just because it's my name and because I love it.
All right. I was gonna say the name. If you gave it like anything less than a 5, I'd be like, well, you must not really like the name of your Instagram either. So.
I agree with Warren. This is a 5. Everything's coming up Millhouse. It's quintessential Simpsons.
Yes.
In the writing and the jokes, and it's so well written. Usually I have a nitpick or two about episodes, and just there's none for me here. Like, if this episode is on, you better believe I'm stopping everything that I'm doing to watch this episode, because this is so good. The Rear Window back half of the episode it's amazing, and and who can't relate? I mean, outside of those weird people that live in Canada who only get summer for like a couple days, or the penguins that live in the Antarctica, but who can't relate to a hot summer day, you need to cool off, let's jump in the pool. Like, this episode is so relatable in the first half. I don't know how, even Bart breaking a bone is relatable to a lot of people.
Yep.
It's just really, really good, really well done. I don't know if it's the best episode in season 6, but it's definitely up there.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I'm definitely 5. Everything's coming up Millhouse. I mean, I think one of my favorite scenes is the synchronized swimming scene. It kind of reminded me of Caddyshack when they did that in that movie, and the whole Homer floating in, with the beer fountain. I mean, that was hilarious. But yeah, I mean, Bart going completely mad in his room. I mean, that's just awesome. I mean, did he have to be a shut-in? Probably not. But when Lisa's taken over all of his friends and, she's making new friends, there's nothing else you can really do about it.
By the way, guys,
I also think it's worth mentioning real quick that not only is this episode great, but also it doesn't feel like it's 21 minutes. Much stuff happens in this episode. It could easily be 2 parts. I mean, it's a lot packed in.
Yeah,
so I just want to point out to you guys that your epidermis is showing.
Oh
man, I knew it. Damn it. Damn it.
Yeah. Perfect. I'm gonna have to work on that. I'm gonna work on. Well, in the age of masks, I mean, you could pretty much cover up your entire body now and not have your epidermis showing. So, so let's finish it off with our character profile. This week we have the ever so lovely Foxy Maude Flanders. Her identity: God-fearing, attractive wife of God-fearing Ned Flanders, mother of religious zealots, sons Rod and Todd. Yeah, I mean,
true.
Yep. Life code: no profanity, no unkind thoughts, no lustful thoughts, puritanical thoughts, no alcohol or drugs of any kind, no questioning of her husband, no Sundays off at church, and no taking the Lord's name in vain.
Oh my God. You know, it's weird though, because there's that, was it season 1 or season 2 where the Simpsons have the cocktail party?
Yeah.
And Ned is a mixologist.
Yeah.
That is kind
of
of
weird. There is actually a couple of times where Ned does drink. And, that used to bug me, but I do think sometimes it's funny because he always drinks, for the most part, outside of when he has.
Well, he has his own tap room in his basement.
Yeah, even in the Joy of Sect, he still has a bar in the basement. So there are times where Maude has come over to the house before and definitely had some punch. So that is something that they sort of play with a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, and also too, I mean, they're devout Christians, obviously, so they probably do communion.
Yeah.
And wine is alcohol. Now, granted, that's religious wine, so that's probably okay.
Yeah.
But
her hobbies: reading the Bible, quoting the Bible, studying the Bible, and highlighting passages of the Bible in Ned's Bible, because that makes Ned angry. And cherishing the Bible and raising ficus plants.
Oh, you forgot following the Bible and holding the Bible.
Oh yeah, she likes doing those too. Did you know her favorite book is the Bible?
Yeah, there you go. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, man, I thought it would have been like Stephen King.
Right, Salem's Lot.
Yes.
If Rod and Todd ever die, she's bringing them to the Indian burial ground.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Her secret admirer is Homer. For whatever reason, he just wants those peanuts at the bottom.
Yes.
And Silent Shame has more masculine scream than Ned.
Yeah, Ned has a very high-pitched scream.
Yep. Ned doesn't believe in insurance. He considers it a form of gambling.
I always thought Maude had such a funny accent too. I think that's something worth mentioning. I always love the way she talks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's sad to see that she's gone, but she'll always be in our hearts.
For sure.
And Homer's hearts. All right, so let's finish it off where everyone can find us. Head over to Instagram, find us, The Simpsons Did It Pod. Over on Twitter, Simpsons Did It PC. You can donate to our podcast. Just head over to buymeacoffee.com/The Simpsons Did It and buy us a duff or two. And all your donations will go towards upgrading our equipment and giving you giveaways, and we'll give you some stickers just for donating. So there's a lot of cool things. You can call us. We have a phone number where you can leave a voicemail. And if you guys haven't already done it, the wonderful Jaden LeBron does our voicemail message. So Warren, I don't know if you've called our number yet.
I should. I really should. I love Jaden.
Yeah, Jaden did an absolutely fantastic Krusty the Clown voicemail message for us.
Yeah.
So the phone number is 612-584-0986. So head over there, give it a call, leave us a voicemail, let us know what you think, and let us give Jaden some props once you listen to it, and say he did an amazing job and he should work for The Simpsons.
Jaden rules, and he should work on The Simpsons. And as much as I love, some of the newer voice actors on the show, there are a couple characters that I think I can confidently say Jaden did a better job of than the current people in the role. So I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely. So Warren, where can everyone find you?
Guys, if you want to check out my collection, you can search for Bart of Darkness on Instagram or Twitter, and you will find it. The only difference is on Twitter, there's an underscore because some jerk will not give me the name, who hasn't even updated his Twitter in like 5 years or something. But Instagram is mostly where you'll find me. If you want to check out my podcast, you can go to @SimpsonsIsGreaterThan on Instagram or @SimpsonsIsGreat on Twitter. Or you can just search for it any single corner of the internet where you can listen to a podcast, and you will find it. I've talked to people from the show, from Lisa Simpson herself, Bart Simpson herself, Al Jean. You can hear me talk to all kinds of people from the show, and I recommend it.
I do too. It's an absolutely fantastic show.
Oh, thank you guys.
No, it's dude, I get some of my stuff from listening to your interviews, especially the Simpsons actors, because we've talked to Mike Reese before, and he gave us some awesome tidbits. So anywhere I can listen to interviews of Simpsons folks, it's always good to get some background on them. So until next time, I'm Steven Skolansky,
And I'm Robert Skolansky.
And this has been The Simpsons Did It.